Hi there, it's Jamie from an Oregon Cottage, and Brian and I are here today to share the third video in our series of our farmhouse renovation before and after. Today we are going to show you the hallway, which doesn't sound exciting, but I promise it is, and the laundry room, which I'm very excited about. It's small but mighty, and so come along and you can see the before and after of these two pivotal parts of our house. When we first saw this house, the hallway was much narrower. It had a funky kind of corner cabinet that had a door in it but was completely sealed with foam. And this side to the right was an indentation which was raw wallboard. It wasn't covered or anything, and I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a cabinet, if it was going to be a closet. It was kind of a question of what it was. The ceiling also had wallboarded out sections that were obviously covering up plumbing for upstairs, but it made a very close, funky type of ceiling. So as part of our master addition, we also had this section done, the bathroom, the hallway, and the laundry room. So the crew that we hired to do that moved the back door that, if you remember from our kitchen before and after, was in that area, and we moved it to be where the new laundry room was going to be, which was at that time a storage area. We'll talk about that in a minute. They also added a door where that area was that I didn't know what was meant for, to the right of the hallway, and they widened the hallway in order to make everything fit. The new doorways to fit. We got rid of the cabinet. We tore it open. Brian tore it open. We were just, what was inside this sealed, cabinet door, and it was just plumbing. It was just a big plumbing pipe. So we got that moved, and we ended up with our framed-in hallway.
So when we hired the plumber to do the bathroom rough-in plumbing, we had him move the drain pipes that were in the ceiling so that we could just get them out of view. And he moved them up and over into the wall, and that way that allowed us to bring up the ceiling so you don't see those pipes.
Once the guys we hired were done with the plumbing and the framing, it was up to us, and we attached wallboard. We found reclaimed wood for the ceiling.
The ceiling is made of reclaimed wood that Jamie's brother found and then also installed for us.
We used the same tongue and groove beadboard that we had used in the kitchen, except we hung it vertically instead of horizontally for the walls. Then it was time for the big, beautiful 5.5-inch thick trim and molding, which I think just makes the hallway. So one of my favorite things is the doors that we were able to source from another old house in town that was being remodeled. They were getting rid of the doors, and we wanted them to put the doors back. And I knew going into this remodel that two things were going to make a difference: the moldings and trying to source old doors. So these doors were coated in years and years of paint, and I tried to take them off myself, and that didn't work. So we ended up taking them up to Portland and having them dipped by a wonderful man who does everything according to environmental safety, and he dipped everything. He dipped the doors, the wood, he dipped all the hardware. This is all the actual hardware that came with the doors, and I love it. I love how it is aged and looks really cool and old. And we actually hired someone who knew what they were doing, and he hung the doors for us using the original old hinges as well. So once we were left with this large space, I didn't really know how we were going to fill it, but I realized in trying to put all our stuff in the kitchen that I didn't have enough room in the few cabinets we have. And so I set up just a wire shelf in here and realized there was plenty of room for cabinets and we could have more storage. So we had our cabinet people who did our kitchen cabinets make these custom cabinets for us, and they even did the sides in beadboard so they matched the walls, which I thought was really a great touch. And we trimmed them out, and they just really provide a lot of extra storage, and I kind of think they almost look like they could have been in the house. So our laundry room was created from mostly a storage room and part of the enclosed porch that became the kitchen. So this really was the part that we had to shore up when we did the foundation. It was going into the ground, and when we put it up, it actually made the door frame completely crooked, which we realized that foundation was really going. Once we got that done, we could start tearing it apart. And we started to take off the wallboard at that point, and we could see that it was the original tongue and groove big wide boards that we found in a lot of places in the house. So we decided to leave them like that, just exactly like we found them. This is all original, old growth for tongue and groove shiplap. On this wall, we added these 2 windows to make a light, bright laundry room. And we did have to add a few more salvaged pieces to complete the shiplap on this exterior wall. The other thing we discovered when we took off the wallboard was that there had originally been a window here. This must have been the back of the original house. We decided to keep it, since we were keeping all the original wood, and frame it out, and we backed it with some of the beadboard, and eventually this is going to become one of those pull down dryers for clothes. So I think that'll look really good and be useful in there. So this wall had to do a big job. This is the other side of the kitchen wall that we created. We framed it in, and we knew we had to have a freezer, and it also holds our water heater, and we wanted it to do a few more things. So Brian made this built-in, and we just made it so that it was all finished, and then I just sewed a fabric here as a curtain. But I do want to show you, it's not lovely, it's not finished, but this is where the water heater is, and we just had a little bit of, and rather just waste the space, I use this for hanging and drying clothes, and eventually we'd like to put a shelf up there, and we can have more storage for things that are on the floor there for that. So it does add quite a bit of storage and gives us room for all the things we needed in kind of a tight space.
So we needed a lower cabinet here in the laundry room. I went over to the other house, and we had an upper cabinet that was 12 inches deep. We took it off and made a frame for it so it stood up off the floor a little bit, and then built in shelves to the side of it, and then created a frame that went all the way around to kind of completed it. And then we used leftover scraps from the kitchen countertop for the countertop, and then Jamie painted it, and it looks great.
So while this is a before and after, and it doesn't look at all like it did before, we're still not quite done with it. We need to put corner moldings in the corners. Like I said, we want to do a drying rack for this niche. And then we have a giant area next to the washing machine that obviously has plumbing coming out. And that is our future sink. So we're going to kind of DIY a sink stand. We have the sink and the faucet. We just have to DIY the stand, and then we can have our laundry sink. So some of the finishing touches that we did in here is we painted everything, just lots and lots of paint. The raw wood soaked it up, so that was a big job. We added beadboard on the ceiling, but this time we just used easy beadboard panels. They went up really quick instead of using the tongue and groove. And we added the metal light fixtures. The molding, we put a little bit smaller molding in the laundry room, and it coordinates still with everything. And I wanted to mention the door that we use. I wanted to have a window in the laundry room door so that the light from the outside door would help come into the hallway, and the hallway wouldn't seem so dark. So this is also a reclaimed door that we found somewhere. It's definitely been used, but a lot of paint really helped that, and I was able to pull some vintage and new hardware to coordinate with the older hardware. I love this piece of reclaimed wood because it was the actual siding on the bottom of the house when we redid the foundation, and this is the color that it was. The rest of the house had always been white, but we had this color, so we saved it and just added some hooks and made a hook for it. And so it has a little story about the house. Okay, so that's the before and after of our hallway and laundry room. And they've just been really working out for us well. Even though the laundry room's small, it's really functional, and does everything that we need it to do. And the extra storage in our hallway has just been a bonus. So I want to make sure that you subscribe or notify or whatever you do so you don't miss the next one, because it's the bathroom. And again, these before and afters are kind of amazing. It doesn't look at all like it looked before, so you'll want to see that.